welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military veterans and first responders transform their lives from the prayer room to the boardroom. You know who I am, and if you don't, you can read down below. Actually, wrong way, down below that way. This show is not about me. This is about the superhero battle room with Ryan Hammer. He is a man who served his country, and it's always your job to try to guess his branch before he says it. And he now empowers veterans to financial dreams of freedom, which is really interesting because we don't really have that in this world, do we? And Ryan's going to talk about how he's going to bring that to this world. So, Ryan, do I have you?
You got me, loud and clear.
All right, awesome. So we're just going to dive right in, as we normally do, is what inspired you to serve/join the military?
Sure. So I was a 9/11 kid. Grew up in New York, a few miles from Midtown Manhattan, right on the border of Long Island and Queens. My dad worked in the towers, highly affected by it. I was a sophomore in high school when it happened, and knew right there and there if there was any reservation of me serving, that was out the window, and I was going to be joining as soon as I was able to. Kind of sealed the fate for me.
Wow. That's kind of huge. I met some of my friends because I was active duty that was at Ground Zero, but you had family and impact into that. So that must have really cemented everything from honor, duty, integrity, and everything else. So you went straight in right after that?
Actually, I went to college, did ROTC, and commissioned through the program. Came a second lieutenant and went into the most combat-related job I could in the branch that I was in. I wasn't a Marine or Army, so I'll give you that indication. Outside of being a special operator, I wasn't that cool.
I think everybody's cool in their own right, just because we don't go over and do the commercial stuff and go over and do all that crazy jumping and water and all that stuff. So
100%.
Yeah. So when did you leave the military and how long were you in?
I was in from 2004 to 2014. Ended up getting broken, got medically retired. They did a bunch of surgeries on me, but couldn't fix me. Each surgery made me worse than the last one. So they gave me the option to either never deploy again and sit behind a desk or retire early. So I punched the retirement ticket because no one should ever go in my stead and fight for me while I'm sitting home behind a desk.
Yeah. I've been behind a desk my whole entire career. So for me, it's like I've been serving. So it's very interesting on how we dynamically, but I always started from the desk jockey. So, but everybody's got to make their own decisions in that regard. So you served 10 years in the service, and I'm pretty sure I already know the guess, but we're going to let the audience keep guessing. Now it's 2014. It wasn't like the brunch of like anything major, but our world goes through different twists and turns. So how did your transition go?
Honestly, it was unique. I use that term because I knew I was getting med boarded. It took about a year for me to get med boarded and get retired. So I was in this flux where I really didn't have any role or position, especially as an officer. Didn't get any real assignments or any type of leadership roles because they knew I was going to be out processing soon. They just didn't know when soon was. Where my kind of story took a weird turn was I was actually buying a house, at the beginning of this process of the med board process, because I was still in and I still qualified for my VA loan. And I knew once I finally did get out that I probably wouldn't qualify for anything until I got situated on the outside with a stable job. So as I was buying my house and as I was getting my VA loan, the mortgage broker that was doing my mortgage was looking for investors. Didn't have much, but I had enough to meet what he was looking for an investment and got in that way. Got into the mortgage side, came in rather as a silent partner. It's hard to keep me quiet, so silent didn't last very long. I started helping him grow the business, recruiting people. We had different perspectives on how to treat people. To me, people are an asset that you're supposed to cultivate, empower, lead, equip, train, mentor, all the great things the military taught us. Try to help them become successful and give them opportunities. To my previous partner, they were more of a commodity that was supposed to make him money, and that was that. So we split our differences, went our separate ways. I ended up getting licensed and becoming a licensed loan originator. Got recruited by one company, did some good stuff there. Got recruited by another company for a higher position, and kept working my way up until about 2020, which was a phenomenal year for the mortgage industry. And at that point, it was more of how do we help more veterans get into it? Because the mortgage world is actually a great industry for military veterans, simply because it culminates all the skills that we learn in service, being creative, working with, doing more with less, thinking outside the box, but still staying within the confines of the rules. It allows us to help people achieve their goals, but it also gives us the freedom and flexibility to work from anywhere. So I've, helped people and taken phone calls from chairlifts while I was skiing. I've helped people from the beaches of Cancun while I was on vacation. Wherever I was still able to actively work and still able to help people achieve, whatever it is their financial goals were. So again, in 2020, it was how do we open this opportunity up to more folks who never knew it existed, who don't know how to get into it if they do know it existed, and really, help them find self-worth outside the military and become financially successful.
Hmm. Well, before we get into more of that, diving from 2020 where you're at in 2024, we're going to take a quick sponsor break.
You have served. No matter if it was in the military or civilian service, you deserve to live good. Live good in health. Live good in wealth. Live good in so much more. At Live Good, the global wholesale buyer club, we empower you to take your mission to the next level. Are you ready to live good? We all struggle in life. No matter the barriers, we do not need to stay there. Each day is an opportunity to step into better health. Each day is an opportunity to step into wealth. Each day is an opportunity to step into dreams. Live Good, the global wholesale buyers club, empowers all these steps and more. Ready to be empowered? Grab the link to learn more.
All right, we are back from our sponsor break and bringing back Ryan on the next step of his transformation. And where we last left off is that he was talking about he got into the mortgage industry and then worked with somebody from silent partner to regular partner and then had to part ways because his values of integrity, service, and going over and connecting with the community was more important than just the commodity of the dollar. And that's the great thing about veteran transformation. You can still earn the dollar, but we're more about earning the person's trust. And that's what Ryan was talking about last week, bringing back. So that pivots us back to the next question. So what really made you pivot to serve our current community? Because you could have served everybody as just a veteran compared to starting a business, if I understand right, that's totally 100% veteran hired and going out to do something completely different because there is veteran businesses and banks and things like USAA and other places. So what made you make that pivot? What was the light moment or maybe that dark moment in your life that made you make that commitment?
Sure. So we're different. Veterans have a unique mindset. We have a dark sense of humor. We think differently. We act differently. We're a little abrasive. The civilian sector doesn't always align with that. And what I was seeing as I was talking to all my clients on the mortgage side, when they were getting out, a lot of them were having a hard time adjusting to that civilian culture. They were always looking over their shoulder, afraid someone was going to run to HR behind their back. They weren't fitting in. They weren't finding the cohesion, the camaraderie they had while we were in service. And I mean, I'm no different. I'm abrasive and, I'm direct, just like most veterans are. So in addition to identifying ways to help veterans get into the industry because we're good at it and it's a lucrative industry and you get to help people in the process achieve their goals, which is honestly why I got into it at the beginning to begin with. Like I said, my career was cut short after 10 years. This is my way of continuing to serve the community. I can't serve the country anymore, but I can at least serve our brothers and sisters in the community by helping them achieve their goals and helping them get to whatever financial outcome they're trying to accomplish. But circling back to my previous point, we were, after experiencing, the civilian sector and seeing everyone who's having a hard time or not really enjoying working outside the military circles, we decided that, hey, this is a great opportunity. Again, 2020 was a lucrative year. Let's start bringing folks in and training them and opening the doors to them so that they can find success also, but they can do it while maintaining all that camaraderie we had while serving, and not losing the aspect where, they've got to worry about people stealing the hard work that they've done, stealing their clients, the used car salesman type that are only out to put pot money in their own pockets rather than being out for their clients' best interest to make sure that their clients, in our case, all of our veterans, are getting what they deserve and what they need rather than what's going to make us money on the sales side.
Yeah, that's an interesting aspect because even some of the veteran businesses that started veteran a long time ago have become like shareholders, expanded, and then you see the mission kind of go away. So as you're going over and trying to do something that maybe was originally done a years ago, or maybe a bit different because it's not as camaraderie, at least what I know from the big businesses in that particular regard. How do you go over and deal with the pressures when the tough times come? Because money is like oxygen sometimes. If you don't have enough, you feel like you're getting suffocated. And when you have tons, you feel like, I don't want any more of this taken away. So how do you deal with just keeping that balance? And then also when those pressures come?
So the key is to try to live within your means and understanding that everything excess is excess for a reason, and not to overindulge and create so much burden on yourself. As disabled veterans, as retirees, we have the luxury of still being relatively young. If you're disabled in your 30s and retired early, or if you're retired after your 20 years and you're in your 40s, you're still at a place in your life where you could start the next career. If you live your life where your income from the military and from your retirement, disability, yada, yada, that supports your life. And everything you make on top of that is money on top of that. Then when the times get tough and when the economy slows and business slows or whatever else, you're not struggling and you're not grasping at straws to make ends meet. That's always been something that I try to live my life by. That's what I instill in our folks, where, although again, the good times are good, keep in mind that it's like a pendulum and it'll swing back the other way, and you got to put money away and prepare for that, because when it does happen, it's when you least expect it typically. And if you don't position yourself in the right place, it could be a pretty nasty fall that you're leaning into.
I think that's huge. And going over and thinking about it, even if you look at history from first, second, third century and looking at, there's been many recessions and many depressions in that particular regard. And we really haven't been through a full Great Depression since 1929. We've had a few bits of recession. You're hearing recession rumors happening on that particular regard, but you got to go store for that winter in a sense. Like even the animals, and then you think about hibernation, is that they eat aplenty, but then they still store for the winter. And also people that do speaking and teaching, like in my realm, we know that February to October is pretty fat, and then October to February is kind of thin, and then when the economy crashes, we get very thin. So we've had to learn to go do that too. So I think that's good wisdom for no matter what industry that you're in. So I think that was very cool. Our last question that we always ask all the guests and everything else, and we only give them like a few minutes notice to go over and think about this, so it's more impromptu for them, is 3 superhero tactics. So Ryan, I want to think of yourself probably like maybe when you came into service, or maybe when you got out, or maybe someone that you're mentoring as you're growing this lending team and everything else. What do you either give yourself or to somebody else that's in a survival mode, and what tactics would you give them to get to thriving?
The biggest thing is never quit. Put your head down, focus, and drive to the finish line. When you're driving, make sure your head is up and make sure you're interacting with people along the way. You never know who you're going to meet and where it could lead. You never know what that next handshake, that next connection is going to take you. When you're in survival mode, you are dependent on your environment and really embracing it. So, it's a combination, like I said, of just driving to the finish line, working your ass off and not stopping. But like I said, don't go too fast that you're ignoring the people along the way, because they may know the shortcut. So definitely build relationships, maintain relationships, have work ethic or have ethics in everything you do, because as social media gets bigger and bigger, the world gets smaller and smaller. And if you're a scumbag, that's not going to be forgotten, and people are going to recognize that, and people are going to talk. So know that, your quality of character, your word, your name, that's going to follow you, especially if you're in the veteran community, because as big as it is, it ain't that big. So take care of people around you and do the right thing, even when it may cost you money.
Yeah, I think that's huge in that particular regard. It's just a friendly reminder myself to go over and to get some things done as I'm thinking about it. So I want to thank you for going over and joining the show. The last little bit is given to you, and then we go to credits. If you want to go over and talk more about the veteran lending team and about what's their next steps. I know you guys have a big launch day that you're talking about, which this episode goes live on. And then anything else, then we'll just close it out when you are done. So the floor is yours.
Awesome. So yeah, as we keep growing, just like, General Patton always said, and if you're not advancing, you're going to get outflanked. We're constantly advancing and looking for new deficiencies in the market that we can try to create products and create opportunities to help the veteran community. One of the deficiencies that we saw a little less than a year ago now was that most of us have a hard time getting life insurance. Me personally, I was denied by 6 different carriers for having PTS, for being a pilot, for being a scuba diver, sleep apnea, the whole 9 yards. Because of that, we came together, did some significant high-level negotiation, and we're able to create a program that we call Vet Life. Vet Life is built on an Index Universal Life Policy, IUL. It's designed specifically for the veteran community, by the veteran community, where PTSD, sleep apnea, TBI, smoking, base jumping, flying planes, jumping out of planes, scuba diving, all those things, you're not going to have any problems with. Almost everybody gets fully approved very, very quickly. We built it for us so that we can take care of our families. We can take care of our kids. We can create generational wealth. This is not your SGLI, VGLI type life insurance. This is actually a cash value based life insurance so that you are going to grow wealth while you are protecting yourself. If you haven't heard the term compounding interest, look it up. It is a game changer in terms of creating a bright, prosperous future for you. The beauty of the IUL program is that it grows tax-free. So as your money sits there and grows year over year, month over month, your money is growing tax-free. You don't have to pay tax on that unless you close out or cancel the policy. However, if you want to borrow against the policy and create the infinite banking model, which you can look up also, or if you want to withdraw early and use it as a retirement account, you can absolutely do that tax-free. Kind of like a Roth in that way, except you don't have to be 65 to access your money. You can access it at 35, at 40, at whatever age you need, by, again, doing distributions, withdrawals, or borrowing against it in the form of an index loan or other different loan programs. It is a massive game changer for us as a community because, again, most of us have tried to get life insurance because we know the value of it. We know that it protects our family. We know that it has what's called living benefits. Living benefits are, God forbid something happens to you while you're alive, like you get into a motorcycle accident and you're laid up in a bed for 6 to 9 months recovering, you can actually withdraw up to 80% of the death benefit and use that to pay your bills and your family to live off of if you can't go to work and can't make money. Kind of like an Aflac, but a little different. All these things, again, complete game changer for the community, really just filling in a huge deficiency. We really are the only program out there that has built this on and for veterans, understanding the typical veteranisms that we all have gone through, and building it where those things aren't going to stop us, aren't going to really affect us. And almost everybody's getting fully approved because, again, we know it because we're the customer also. We all have it, we all use it because we believe in it, and we know it's a great program, and it's truly a game changer for those who want life insurance and who understand the value of it. Not for everybody. Some people don't like life insurance. Totally fine. There's no hard sell here. We're not going to try to convince you that this is the best thing since sliced bread. But if you want to learn more, and if you want to understand how this can be part of your investment portfolio as a diversified line of products, and again, as part of you growing generational wealth and leaving something for your family, or just having to use it to start a business, to put your kids through school, to buy a car, to buy real estate, you can use this for all of that. It truly is amazing. Again, I was the first one to go through it myself because I believe if you're going to do something, you should do it. Do it first as the example. So, yeah, it's called Vet Life. We are launching it November 1st, and it's pretty awesome. So, you have any questions, check us out, the veteraninsuranceteam.com or the veteranlendingteam.com. 2 different teams under the same umbrella.